Hi, this is Mr. Ward, and this is going to be the quick version of how to get the standard deviation. So I'm not going to explain all my steps so much as just do them. So I have a set of data of a baseball team's ages, and we have not a population but a sample. We say sample of all baseball teams. We're just using one baseball team. So what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to first get the mean of this sample of data. So I say mean is going to be equal average, and then parentheses, I need to select my data from A2 down to A26, hit parentheses, and I got it. Now, that's an A28, so I'm going to go up here, and I'm going to start getting my deviations. My deviations are going to be the observed data minus $A, $28. And that will give me that. It'll offer me an autofill. I'm not going to accept that, so I'm just going to do this. And I'll double click that so you can see how you did that. If you wanted to, you could have hit a check mark, but I decided not to. Now we want the squared deviations because we're going to be squaring all of those things. Then we'll get the sum in a minute. We're going to say equals this, shift 6 for raise it to a power. 2 is going to be the power because squared is to the second power. I hit enter. This time I'll go ahead and accept autofill, and it autofills all that stuff. Now I want the sum of all those squared deviations, and so equals sum in parentheses, and then I select my range. Okay, and I hit in parentheses and enter, and now I've got my sum. And now I want the variance. All right, I need to say equals the sum of those squared deviations divided by, and I'm going to get the count minus 1. So I'm going to put that all in parentheses right now. And so here we go. I'm going to say in parentheses count, and then in parentheses again, I'm going to get the range of the baseball team ages. So I go through all of that and I grab those, hit parentheses, and now I need to say minus 1 in parentheses and enter. I now have what's called the variance. Now, one last thing, I need to get the square root of the variance for the standard deviation. Equals SQRT in parentheses, this and the variance, and then in parentheses there. And now I don't need an autofill because that's all I needed. My standard deviation was 6.09. So 68% of the data is within 6.09 of that average of or mean of 30.68. So from about 24 years old roughly to so about 24 and a half years old roughly to about 36 and a half years old, something rather that will be approximately 68% of all the ages will be in that. And that's what the standard deviation is telling you about, the distribution of most of the data. Most of the data will be 68% of the data will be within one standard deviation, 95% will be within 2 standard deviations, and 97.5% will be within 3 standard deviations, leaving just a very, very tiny amount that is outside of that range. All right, I hope that helped.